guys, today I'm going to be talking to you about writing sex or erotica. I'd just like to tell you guys firsthand that sex doesn't necessarily have to mean BDSM. It doesn't necessarily have to be what is on the market right now. The number one tip that I would probably give you when writing sex, and what I've experienced in the past, is not to write for the market when you're writing for sex, because if you are not comfortable with something, the readers are going to know straight away, and you're going to know straight away whether you're comfortable writing this. Okay, so I have a couple of tips that I'd like to offer you from first-hand experience when writing sex. I've been writing about sex since I was about 15, and writing heavier-handed kind of BDSM type stories since I was about 16. So, and that has been learned from experience and also from reading a lot too. So one of the biggest things I would suggest for people who are wanting to dabble a little bit with sex in their novels, if they haven't already, is to read what you want to write. So if you are interested in that sort of scene, let's just say you're more interested in the sensual scene, and you're probably looking to read something with a little less, what they like to call softcore writing as well, where it's a bit more romantic, a bit more sensual. There's not so much heavy-handed roughness, and you kind of get some more plot, and it's more enjoyable. It's just more of an exploration of romance. And usually when I like to read that kind of stuff, it's usually about two people and that's it. Like really two people coming together in an intimate setting, etc, etc. So that's one kind of thing. But if you are into like 50 Shades of Grey kind of stuff, which there is way better stuff out there, I tell you, and it has been around for a long time, and you are an adult, you can find a lot of sites online that offer you free erotic stories to read that other people have written, so you can kind of see different styles and how different people write. And these are not necessarily published works, these are just everyday people, authors are everyday people too, but unpublished authors and writers who just like to dabble with the fantasy and write some erotica to give other people inspiration, and of course for another way, but which I won't mention. Or shall we mention that? Because another topic that we must talk about when we're writing is, well, let's just say masturbation. Because everybody does it, and even if they don't, it's part of life. So it's also, I find that kind of thing very conflicting, and in novels as well, because you don't really expect to kind of find that in mainstream novels. But if you're actually writing a romance, it can actually be a really good way to explore your character as well. And I guess this brings me to the next topic, is write what you do know and write what you don't know. And that's a bit conflicting too, but when I say write what you do know, even if you haven't had sex before, which is totally fine, you know yourself, so you know what you like, you know what fantasies you have. So I would recommend probably taking a piece of paper and writing down all the things that you like, all the things you think you might like, and then kind of exploring that with your novel and your characters. And when I say write what you don't know, I guess that blends in with that as well, because if you haven't had sex, I know a lot of my friends same age as me, or maybe a bit younger, or even some older ones, who haven't had that big experience yet, so they don't really feel confident in writing about it. And I say don't worry, because when I started writing anything about sex, I didn't have sex, and I didn't until let's just say straight sex, until I was about 18, so I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I had no idea what the mechanics, I guess, were. I just went willy-nilly, and I kind of just wrote what I would like, what I thought I would like, what I had learned, what I had heard, that kind of thing. So you can incorporate the knowledge that you already have of sex, and I think in this time and age, even if you are younger, it's a bit sad to hear that a lot of younger people already know about it, but I'm talking more of an adult kind of capacity. I'm pretty sure we all know what sex is. I'm sure we've all been flooded with it in the media or in books anyway. So take what you know and take what you don't know. Take what you haven't experienced, but you've experienced in other ways, to incorporate it into writing the scene in your novel or short story. Another tip I would suggest is fan fictioning. Now, I don't mean that you have to start a separate fan fiction. You can if you like doing that. I love doing it. One of the biggest helps for me when writing sex scenes, especially as an adult now that I've overcome a lot of trauma in the past relating to sex, the best thing for me to get back into writing that kind of material was to picture myself in the character's shoes with someone I was already familiar with in a kind of fan fiction capacity. So for me, I love supernatural. I write supernatural fan fiction, and when I think of my characters having sex, I do like to think about them being as separate, but if I struggle with that, if I struggle with writing my characters or writing that sort of thing, I kind of like to fantasize and put myself in that perspective and imagine that one of my characters is Dean and I am the other character. So I know it sounds a bit funny, guys, but trust me, if you try it once, you'll get a feel for kind of how relieving it is, because you're not so stressed out about, wow, will these characters actually do this? Is this how it works? Because you're already in your fantasy land. So in fantasy land, let's face it, anything fucking goes. And that's the way I learned to approach sex when I'm writing, is that don't take it too seriously, okay guys? Don't take sex too seriously. Just like some people don't take sex too seriously in life. It's good to laugh, it's good to explore, it's good to experiment. There's no hard down point fucking that's it, these are rules. There's no rules when it comes to sex, and there's no rules when it comes to writing sex either. If you want to write it the way that you feel natural to you, that's probably going to resonate with the reader a lot more than if you sit down and try to write a hardcore scene where your characters are fucking like rabbits and they're biting each other's necks off and you are just squirming because you do not feel comfortable writing at all, because it's not going to resonate with the reader. You will put that anxiety into your novel and into your characters, and your characters will know. If it doesn't feel right for you or your characters will know. So I guess if you've got some fantasies, put them into your novel, explore them. This is a really great time to actually also question yourself, question your sexuality, question what you like. I think sex is fucking important. Okay guys, I think writing about sex is important. I don't care whether it's a novel, short story, journaling, poetry, art, I don't care. I think it's very important, and it's time to kind of uncover, pull the veil off with this whole kind of stereotype that it's really evil or it's really sick or deprived and stuff like that. It's a natural act, guys, and I think it's time that we sort of start exploring it in novels, and I know a lot of people do want to. Now it was a perfect time to do this, guys. So, I think that's pretty much covers everything I wanted to talk to you about. Practice. That's what I was going to say too. If you want to continue writing sexual scenes and things like that in novels, practice. I would suggest starting out small. For me, I used to write kind of taboo subjects when I was growing up, because that was a fantastic way for me to find out what worked for me, what didn't work for me. I was a internet junkie at a young age, which is really, really bad, but so I'm not going to suggest that. But I would suggest practicing. So I would suggest sitting down for 10 minutes a day if you're wanting to write sexual scenes, or if you just wanted to explore, sit down for 10 minutes a day and just stream of consciousness. So you could be writing about your character, you could be writing about yourself, you could be writing about any fantasy in your head. Just write that down and, keep that aside or add it into your novel. But if you want to keep it aside, just keep it in one folder or one document, and then at the end of the week you will have, a couple of bits and pieces that you can work with. So you can take those bits and pieces, take out what you like, what works, expand on them. Maybe even if if your consciousness wants you to learn about Kama Sutra, for instance. Your character is about to embark on a Kama Sutra act, which is weird. Which would be really weird for my characters, rather. But you know, if you're writing about this in your stream of consciousness is like, oh, you know, I wish my character could learn this articulate movement, the karma sutra, you can write that down. At the end of the week, you can say, okay, I'm going to spend another 10 minutes, you know, exploring that, looking at pictures, reading articles, watching porn, whatever you want to do, or whatever works for you to get your creative juices flowing. And then you can take all that knowledge that you've learned, and then you can sit down and say, okay, I may not have actually participated in this, or maybe I have, but I've got something to go off, and now I can sit down for the next half an hour and write this scene about this character who wants to do this. So it's doable, guys, just like sex, okay? It is doable. Really, there is just so many different types of ways that you can write sex and erotica. I'm not kidding, guys. There is just a mountain of ideas that you could explore as well. So, and just like everything else, just like different positions, there are different ways that you can write. There are different topics you can write about. Okay, so I think I've covered what I wanted to say, definitely for now. And hopefully that wasn't too bracing, but guys, I wanted to talk about this sort of confrontational topic in writing because I don't think enough people do talk about it, or they don't mention it enough, or give other people ideas. Not that I've looked around too much, but in my experience it is a kind of hush-hush topic when it comes to writing. And I think now is a perfect time, like I said, to explore this. Explore these scenes, explore these ideas, because, and let me tell you guys, if you're in a rut and you're running some heavy shit, there's nothing like a good sex scene to, like, pull you out of it. Like, I swear. And it doesn't have to be, like I said, it doesn't have to be hardcore. It can be funny. It can be a funny sex scene. You know, I had this really embarrassing moment where I'm going to tell you guys that one time I was trying to be very seductive and I fell arse over tip off the back of the bed and pretty much damaged a lot of myself and a lot of my body and got some bruises and stuff, and it was the last time I tried to be attractive. But that experience was funny. That experience was funny, and no one lets me live it down. You know, my partner's always laughing about it every time I try and be kind of sultry or anything like that. It always makes him laugh, and it makes me laugh too. And, you know, one day I'm going to put that experience in a novel, and it will kind of lighten the mood because I'll be able to remember that experience and say, yes, you know, how many other people can resonate with that? How many other people can, you know, share that experience, share those really funny, embarrassing sexual stories that are out there and that people do talk about, but I don't think they put enough into the novels. So, yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop talking about sex now. I'm an adult, guys. I'm 22. I can talk about sex if I like. Okay? I'm not going to go into too much detail, but yeah. Anyway, that was just some examples. One, I would recommend do not join any sites. And by any sites, I mean, I made the really bad mistake in my teenage years thinking that if I needed to write this sort of stuff or explore this kind of stuff, I would join up all these dating and bondage sites and stuff like that. And let me tell you guys, it was a really poor experience. So if you're thinking about that and you're not actually really going to go through with that lifestyle, you just want to learn about things, don't use that kind of method to learn about sex, because it is not a good method, I don't think. So that's just a little bit of warning for you guys, but if you still want to do it, go ahead. But from my experience and a lot of other people I've spoken to in the field of writing that have tried to experiment with different areas of their sexual writing, I would definitely recommend to steer clear of those kind of sites and just really go for the more informational or, you know, gossip sites, really, that sort of stuff. So, yeah. Also, if you're interested, I have 2 books on writing that I haven't read in a long time, but when I did read them, they were very helpful. I have On Romance Writing, or rather on Writing Romance, How to Craft a Novel That Sells by Lee Michaels. That's published by Writer's Digest Books. Really great book. Yeah, I need to start reading it again. I haven't read it for a really long time, but it's really pretty too. And also, Writing Erotic Romance, The Complete Idiot's Guide to Hot Tips for Writing in this Sexy New Subgenre. Had this for a while too. I've been writing erotic romance or erotic fiction long before it became a big thing, so I haven't really needed to use this book, but I had the chance to buy it and I thought, yes, you can always learn something new and I love writing books too. So thank you guys for listening and watching, and I hope this wasn't too bracing for you guys. I'm going to suggest, if you are a teenager, probably don't watch this video, but you probably already have if you've gotten to the end of this, so I'm going to have to put a warning. Okay guys, that is my day 10 video. Day 10? Yeah, day 10. Okay guys, thank you guys for watching. Bye.